Right.
So there's a lot of things like that where, they're not outside all the time, obviously. Like, the players aren't out there freezing their butts off, but.
Maybe I'll fly on a Friday night, leave on a Sunday, come to the Pirates Fest, and jet
you heard
the
it, guys.
hell out of there.
DiNardo is coming up.
The lesser cool there.
He's heading right out.
Well, let's end it on this. So, talking about that. So, are you coming down for spring training or what, man? Is it like a hard no?
I think it's a hard no.
All right. So, I put that text out there. Or text,
I got
tweet.
some other stuff coming up the pipe here.
Is that like good or what?
That's good. I told you. I'm in real estate classes.
The way you said it, you're like there's like some big surprise you're holding from everybody.
Oh no. Well, I didn't want to. I'm taking real estate classes. So in about a couple months, maybe when I get my license, if I pass, if you're selling a house, give me a call. Shameless plug.
There you go.
But no, that's still going on throughout March. So
your license good in Florida?
What's that?
Your license good in Florida?
No, it would be good in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no one needs you.
Yeah, I was gonna say nope.
Bad decision.
No, they got the show bros down there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, like I said, I put the tweet out there. Obviously I live in Florida, so I do go often. So if you're going down there, let me know. Let's make some plans, have some meetup maybe down there too. I usually, that's why I was wondering if you're going, because you and I typically do this every time we come down. We always plan for like St. Patty's Day. I was there last year for St. Patty's Day.
Yep. That's a great atmosphere. You got March Madness, you got St. Patrick's Day,
man.
You got Pirates baseball, you got the beach.
It really is one of like the most fun times of the year. But it looks like that's where I met Chris, Renegades of Rotunda. We hung out that night there and looks like they may be doing the same thing. So I think I'm gonna go down there for St. Patty's Day. It seemed like a lot of you are doing the last week of February.
Which is interesting because the game. I guess there's a couple games. I think Ruger's going down.
Yeah, I know Ruger is. I saw quite a few people say like that last week though. So maybe I'll come down for like that Saturday game.
Speaking of Ruger, how about him and Ryan throwing passes in the parking lot of the hotel at like 11 o'clock at night? I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's about right. I'm just surprised Ruger has both legs intact.
Right. They drove all the way from New Jersey to come up for Pirate Fest, so that was some dedication.
There you go.
All right, do you want to end on our little what if scenario?
Yeah.
Dum dum dum. So we talked about this payroll and the moves that the Pirates made at the deadline last year, and we've seen this offseason, DiNardo, this free agency, and we've seen what the Pirates have done. So, we both kind of said this, like, why the hell did we even go get Archer and Kela? So, why didn't we just keep Meadows and Glasnow? So, like, we're going to play a little what if. Like, let's go back. Let's say the Pirates never went on that big winning streak. We never added, maybe we sold off Nova, at the deadline last year or something, and we never made those moves. And we still have Glasnow and Meadows. What would... on that end, Taylor Hearn as well. But what would this offseason be like? Would the Pirates have done anything differently?
Well, I think the thing too is not even like so much the offseason, but think about the mentality that they have. I would be okay with this mentality because it's almost like last year. How we talked about like performance uncertainty.
Par for the course.
And you just don't know where a lot of these guys are going, which direction and their variables that they're going to be performing and such. And I'd be okay with that this year because there's not like a whole lot of pressure to win. As we say time and time again, this is why we bring it up. When you make that deal for Archer, when you make that deal for Kela, that brings that pressure to win because you don't make those knowing there's a 2-year window and a 3-year window to just pass the time. So if you don't make that deal, then obviously you have Meadows this year. So you already have an outfield of Polanco, Marte, Dickerson, now Meadows.
Yeah.
You don't have Archer, but you still have Glasnow, right? And you're still wondering, he was a top prospect. Again, I still love what he could bring. He just never did it. But now you're affording another year to find out. This is that transition year. Like this is what last year ended up being. Seeing who does what does what, so that way when 2020 comes, you're ready to make those decisions. And think about it. Polanco still got injured. Great. You can still sign a Lonnie Chisenhall. I look at this year as if you trade Dickerson, or actually you trade Dickerson at the deadline last year. But, Dickerson's gone. You trade him, so you got something back. It's going to be worthwhile? No. But I still think he could present like a top 10 prospect in someone's system. More like the number 10-ish side. But, you still get something back in return for him. You still have Glasnow. You still have Meadows. Like this outfit of Marte, Polanco, Meadows, you look long-term, you're set. Right?
Yeah.
You look at that rotation. Like you still have Taillon. You have Musgrove. Williams, you hope Glasnow can take the next step, and then you still have Keller. So like when I look at it, I'm like, this could potentially be a good rotation. And if it's not, then again, like next year you make that move. I just look at it like if you're not going all in this year, you have still like a solid team with the same variables, the same uncertainty but now you have more time to find it out. I'm more patient this year. Let's see what Kingham can bring. Let's see what Newman can bring, Kramer can bring, because I don't have these expectations. They're not set there. The pressure is off. Let's see what they are and move forward. So, like you said, are you doing the same thing in free agency? I probably am this year, and that's why. I want to see what these guys can do, because once I learn that next year, I fill the holes with free agents at the premium price, because that's what it's going to cost to take my team to be a winner.
Yeah. And that's, it's like, so, obviously you look at this. Glasnow would be in the rotation in Archer spot, obviously. So it pretty much would be the same rotation, just Glasnow slots in for Archer. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. But, we saw some glimpses out of Glasnow last year with the Rays, but whatever. And like you said, Polanco's injury, Meadows obviously would slide right into right field, I'd assume, and you'd have an outfield at least until Polanco comes back, and then, whatever with Meadows. And Meadows probably would take over next year after Dickerson leaves. So that's kind of the same. And the thing that kills me, DiNardo, so you went and got Archer and Kela, and we've talked about this. The Pirates have accumulated a lot of their core are average to, maybe above average players. We saw that a lot with the lineup last year. Most of them were above average, but 110 WRC plus, 112, 115, 105. No one really liked the 150 WRC plus.
Right.
There's no superstar. So how are you going to get these superstars? We just talked about it in free agency. You're not going to go get Manny and Harper, and in most years in free agency, those guys aren't even out there. So you're not getting it from free agency. Likely you're not getting it from a trade unless you're trading for somebody, that's basically like first or second year in the minors. You don't see too many stars traded around baseball. I mean, legit stars. So you're probably drafting them. We haven't really been able to draft them, but Meadows was the guy that might be a star, had that possibility. He came up, he tore it up, looked like he was going to be it, and then he slowed down and was pretty bad there at the end before they sent him back down. So it's kind of like, Meadows could still be that guy.
And now you have a whole season to find out.
Right. So, and you basically do, because you have an injury and he'd be out there. So, I don't know, man. I think free agency would basically be about the same, like you said. But like it's almost like if they would have just stayed the course, this kind of offseason they're having right now makes more sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're staying the course, you're doing kind of what you've always done. Maybe I guess you would have a little more money because you wouldn't have Archer's and Kela's contract, like basically, Meadows and Glasnow would still be pre-arb. So you'd actually have a little more money. So maybe you do add a relief pitcher to kind of fill Kela's spot. But you really would need a starter, I guess, unless you're going to add that fifth rotation spot. And you really don't need to, Chisenhall, maybe you still sign him and he could just be a bench. But you have Polanco coming back. So I don't know, man. I don't know how this team right now can, even with Keller and Archer, or before Keller and Archer, like where are they going to improve and get a couple from these above average players and really take the step and maybe get a superstar or somebody at that level. I just don't know where that's coming from, and I don't know if it's on this team right now. I don't know. Is Taillon going to be that guy? Is Josh Bell going to be that guy?
Yeah.
Is it Cabrian Hayes in a year or two? Who knows? So
that's what worries me. That's what is like really worrying me right now. The fact that, as mentioned, we have just such a large collection of average to above average players that, when you go back to the years that we were winning, we had some guys come in the minors that you were excited about, right? internal growth. It wasn't like we went out there and got all these free agents by all means. I totally get that. But here's like the difference. You had an Andrew McCutcheon. You had that superstar that you could build around. And then what came up? A Marte, a 5-win player in Marte. It was a very good player. Not a superstar, that's Andrew McCutcheon, but a very good player in Marte. You had Neil Walker coming up. You had Garrett Cole coming up. You had Pedro Alvarez coming up. Was Pedro and Neil great superstar players? No, they're above average. But it's like you had elite and then a good group of players around them that were solid year in and year out. You don't have elite this year. Like your best player looking at the team is probably still Marte. And he's a good player. He is a good player. But he's not going to be in any MVP talks. Actually, if you watch on MLB, he's not even top 5 on some people's center fielders lists. I'm sorry, top 10. So, that's where he stands. There's a lot of uncertainty. And right, like this whole collection, right? I just feel like the Pirates just pigeonholed themselves. Like, think about next year. What's his rotation going to be next year? We talk about Taillon. We talk about Archer. Trevor Williams. Musgrove. They're not going anywhere, right?
Keller. Yep.
Keller. There's 5. What about Chad Kuhl coming back?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nick Kingham's still there. So, like, what's Nick Kingham's role on this team for the next 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, he's the one that's kind of like out in left field. I'm not really sure.
There has to be some moves. I mean, but the thing is, you can't just say, well, we have Kingham, so he's out of options, so we can't sign anybody. I mean, what he doesn't have a role. It's sad to say, because as we stated, we like Kingham. I like Kingham. I don't think he's horrible, but I also do still really believe in Chad Kuhl. And I know he's got Tommy John, but he'll be coming back. Should be fully healthy. He's going to have a whole full year and a half off till he plays baseball again. I mean, he's going to be throwing in when pitchers and catchers report.
Yeah.
So that's really nice to see.
I think Kuhl is going to be that more of that middle, multi-inning relief.
Well, think about it. He could be, because we named it 5
be
when Keller comes up. Like, there's 5. Like, Kuhl is regulated to that. But the thing is, Kuhl will give you that if you need a 5th starter, someone goes down or whatever. We know he could do that. So, again, where's Kingham at? And nothing of those people are changing the year after. So you're looking at Kingham for 3 years being blocked in that rotation, likely. He doesn't have any trade like worth to him right now. If you're not spending a free agency to improve on something, like there's not a package, you gotta say that, well, we can't go get a reliever because we have Brault and Feliz and Birdie and Kingham, on here that we can't move. To me, I just feel like, and maybe it's just because Kingham's now at a low, although I don't think many teams will look at like last year's Major League and be like, oh, look, he's done. I mean, I just feel like there's got to be something. You've got to get creative here again. And maybe there is something you can do to move Kingham, because I don't see it. Where's he going?
Yeah,
where's he going?
It's like, right. You're right. It's his kind of don't have a spot on the team, and I don't even know if he'll have a spot on the team this year. I mean, it's like, they mentioned Lyles is probably going to be the 5th starter. Brault's there. We have some guys. So it's like, what? Kingham's going to be like a middle relief arm? I just,
So,
or is he going to be in Indy and then kind of spot start back and forth?
Right. So rewind. We don't have Archer. So again, It's Taillon. It's Williams, Musgrove, Kuhl now, because he does slide up in there, and Keller, and Glasnow. Like, you couldn't put together a package of, Kingham and Boz and get something to make this team better, and still have Meadows, still have Taylor Hearn down there, who looked like a really solid player. He could be at least a really good bullpen arm. You still have, like I said, Boz, that trade chip. You still have Glasnow. Like, I just don't get it, man. I think I would feel much better right now the way this offseason has gone without Archer and Kela. And I'm almost crying because I love Archer.
I know, right? It's like, I don't hate the deal, but it's like, it's one of those, if nothing had been done, if these trades never happened and we went into this offseason with the same thing, like I still think the Eric Gonzalez deal, happens.
Still makes sense because you still have that roster.
Yeah, it still makes sense. Mm-hmm. We really don't need Luplo. You kind of need, a shortstop, second base, utility right there. So I think that trade still happens.